Talking of the law, Home Secretary, over 45,000 people crossed the channel in small boats last year. The number this year is expected to be a lot higher. Rishi Sunak, in his own words, is committed to passing new laws to stop the small boats. Those laws have now been laid before Parliament. Does that mean that the government's ruled out leaving the European Convention on Human Rights in order to try and tackle this vexed problem? Because you've previously advocated that we should.
Well, I'd say nothing's ruled out at the moment, and we are in the process of preparing our bill to be introduced into Parliament very soon. And my personal views are well known. What I want to deliver is a system whereby if you arrive here illegally, you'll be detained and thereafter swiftly removed. And if we can deliver that system and that framework, then we shouldn't need to leave the ECHR.
You'll know that British lawyers and MPs drafted the European Convention of Human Rights in the shadow of World War II. We were the first country to ratify it. Leaving it would mean only the UK plus Belarus and Russia in the Council of Europe were outside the ECHR. Would that be OK?
Well, I think that there are legitimate questions that we need to start asking relating to our membership of the European Convention of Human Rights and its operation in the United Kingdom. We've seen there's a politicised and expansionist court in Strasbourg that regulates the convention, sometimes at odds with British values, whether it's our ability to remove people to Rwanda, as we saw last year. The European Court on Human Rights intervened at the 11th hour to stop us from doing that, whether it's our ability to deport foreign paedophiles, whether it's our ability to police protests, whether it's the issue on resolving the issue of Northern Ireland legacy claims or legal claims brought against our own soldiers who fought in Iraq. In many instances of policy making, the Human Rights Act, what I call is part of the long tail of Blairism, its operation combined with the ECHR and the court have operated to stymie policy making.
You make a strong legal case with respect to Home Secretary, but the optics of leaving the ECHR are difficult. You've got the stomach to leave it, clearly. Has the Prime Minister?
At this stage, nothing's ruled out. We need to ensure that we fix this problem of illegal migration. That's my priority. And as the Prime Minister himself has said, he'll do whatever it takes to achieve that goal. We've had 45,000 people last year arrive here illegally on small boats. That situation is unacceptable. We need to design a robust framework. We need to have a deterrent so people stop making the journey in the first place, and we have to do whatever it takes to ensure that we can deliver that.
In light of those small boat incidents, we've seen protests now around the country, increasingly in Liverpool, in Rotherham, protests planned in Newquay, in the West Country. Some have been calling in the media those protesters against asylum seekers, perhaps some people will call them illegal immigrants, others would call them. Some have said that those protesters are far right. Is that a fair characterisation of those protesters?
Well, what I would say firstly is that violence is never acceptable, and intimidation, harassment, any forms of abuse to anybody are totally should be condemned, and I condemn them in the fullest possible terms. And it's clear that we have an unsustainable situation in towns and cities around our country, whereby, because of the overwhelming numbers of people arriving here illegally and our legal duties to accommodate them, we are now having to house them in hotels. And that is causing understandable tensions within communities, pressures on local resources, and is frankly unsustainable.
So you support those protesters?
I very much understand people's frustrations with hotels being occupied by large numbers of illegal immigrants or asylum seekers.
So what do you make of a leader of a council in Cornwall calling such protesters who are planning a protest in Newquay abhorrent racists and bigots? Is that fair?
As I said, I think anyone contemplating violence, harassment or intimidation should desist from doing that. It is not an acceptable way to voice your concerns or frustrations. We are all frustrated with the situation that we are currently finding ourselves in, and you know, it is clear and undeniable that there are really, really serious pressures on communities, and saying so does not make you racist or bigoted.
You're from the background that you're from, Home Secretary. Do you think our political and media class more generally understand the strength of feeling about this small boats illegal immigration issue, particularly among migrant communities here in the UK who've adhered to the rules over generations?
Well, this is the other angle to this problem. The fact that there are tens of thousands of people coming here illegally is unacceptable because they're jumping the queue and they are undermining our ability to support those people who are coming here legitimately as refugees or as asylum seekers. It is actually inhibiting our ability to provide sanctuary to those people who are coming here lawfully. It is also a serious undermining of our laws and our arrangements that we have when it comes to controlling our borders. It's incumbent on any government to control their borders, and we must ensure that we do that more robustly in the